I don't know.
Straight talk. Money matters. International news. Celebrity interviews. Sports.
If I'm being discriminated based on my race, it's not.
Politics. Race.
Let's switch it around. Let's talk healthcare.
Straight talk with award-winning journalist Lloyd Geit.
Hello and welcome to Straight Talk. I'm your host, Lloyd Geit. Our topic of discussion today, HIV/AIDS among African American women. Today, women account for 1 in 4 new HIV/AIDS cases. About 2 out of 3 are African American women. HIV/AIDS is a leading cause of death among African American women. My guest today is Crystal Jean. She is 31 years old. She's a college graduate. She's middle class, and she is HIV positive. Crystal, thank you so much for joining us on Straight Talk. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. I feel blessed.
Now, when people think of women who are HIV positive, they don't see someone like you, a very attractive, very intelligent, hardworking woman. That's not the face of HIV, but you have HIV.
That's very true. And first I want to say thank you for the compliment. But HIV is one of those things you cannot look at someone and tell. You cannot judge someone based on the fact that they are HIV positive also. But HIV doesn't have a face anymore. It can be anyone, your neighbor, your classmate, your friend. It's just about protecting yourself and protecting your health.
What is going on with African American women? Why are we seeing so many African American women contract the disease and die, as a matter of fact?
I would say one problem is just lack of knowing status. There's approximately 50% of people that have no idea that they're infected. So then that person goes and they may sleep with someone else unprotected, infecting them. And also I believe that the women, the black women that are being infected is just because of some of our brothers that are on the down low. And then there's others that are sleeping with women knowingly and they have the virus.
Let's talk about brothers on the down low. For those people who don't know, those are men who we assume are straight, but are having sex with other men, so they call it on the down low. That is a serious problem.
It is, and myself personally, when I was infected, I was in a relationship with a young man that I met at a church, and he was one of the men that did not tell me his status. He actually lied about it. And it wasn't just any guy. It was a guy that I felt comfortable with, I trusted, I loved, I had a relationship with. So I believe a lot of our women, what is happening is they find these men, they trust them, they put all their trust there, and instead of trusting in the most important thing, which is God, who knows our value, and also a God that has unfailing love.
Let's talk a little bit more about this man who gave you the HIV virus. He convinced you that he did not need to use a condom because he loved you and it was just you and he, and there was not a problem.
That's correct. When I met him, the relationship went quick, and initially when we began dating, he expressed his desire to want to marry me. His thought that God had expressed to him that I was his wife, or showed him that I was his wife. And that gave me a different feeling about the relationship. But then also I trusted him because I did meet him at church, and I felt that he was probably going to be a better guy than the guys I had dated before. And I felt that I could trust him because everything that he showed me in a relationship made me feel that way. So when the time came where we had sex and he said that he didn't have a condom, initially my first thought was, no, Crystal, we're not going to do this. And at the time, I just didn't feel like it was the right time because that happened. So then he told me simply I can trust him, which I believed I had. And we had conversations before about our past.
Now, this man was a minister.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that, which puts a little different twist on it.
Well, I was new coming to the church. I honestly grew up not focused on God at all. I barely went to church, and my belief came when I was in college, and that's when I really came to know Jesus for who he was. And as soon as I graduated, I went and I joined my very first church home. So I was really excited about God and just the things that to do as serving as a Christian. And so when I met this young man, he was working full-time on staff. He was just a really captivating guy, and I enjoyed talking to him, and the relationship grew from there. But at the church, he was one person, and when we got home, he became a different person. But this wasn't until later in the relationship. So I don't want people to think if they're in church and they meet someone that...
That's safe.
Exactly. And also just to save yourself for that one man, for your husband.
Now, you continued to have sex with him without protection. When did you find out that something wasn't right?
Well, with HIV, there's no symptoms as a sure way to tell you that you're positive. The only way to know is if you get tested, which luckily I was attending my doctor regularly, and every time I went, I would get tested for HIV when I got my yearly pap smear, which makes sense to me because, and that's important too. But I was regularly getting my checkups, and then one checkup just wasn't so normal. I got a phone call from a doctor who called me maybe 5-6 times, left messages. So I called her back to find out that my status, I was HIV positive.
Now, once the doctor told you you're HIV positive, what went through your head?
Death. Not wanting to be here anymore, just wanting to, I just wanted what she said to be false. I wanted her to tell me that there was a mistake with the test or a mix-up. I was just sad. I was angry, and just hurt.
Now, you went to your boyfriend and you told him, and he said?
Well, when I found out, I was actually out of town and I was training for a job. So when I first found out, I broke down. I was in tears, crying. And so I had to go get a confirmatory test, which everyone does when they test positive for HIV. You get a test to confirm that. So I did this, and after I got home from training, I think it was just around time of Hurricane Rita. I come home during a hurricane, so we still didn't immediately talk. When I got to him finally, and we discussed the situation, and I actually sat him down. I told him that I was HIV positive, and when I told him, he just immediately embraced me, hugged me, and just said, "I'll still love you."
I'll still love you.
Yes.
Despite the fact that he is the one that gave you the virus.
Yes, that's correct.
Did you want to just jump on him, beat him, slap him, kick him, shoot him?
Well, everyone asked me that. I had a whole range of feelings, but to be honest, at that moment, when I told him, my initial thought when I found out I was positive was he had slept with someone unprotected, and possibly he didn't know about the virus, didn't know that he was infected. So this is what I thought initially. And when I went to get tested, they interrogated me, asked me if it was possible that the guy could already be positive, which I completely it never crossed my mind. So the initial reaction to that response was just confusion on where is this coming from and why is this happening.
So, Crystal, you believe that this man who said that he figured he would be your husband at some point, talked you into having unprotected sex. This man, you think, knew he was HIV positive when he had sex with you and was having sex with other people. You do believe that?
Well, I know that. Initially, I had no idea. I told him to go get tested. I told him to let his partners know, people he had slept with, to tell them that they needed to get tested also. Well, it took him a long time to get tested, and he finally did. He told me I'm positive. So time went on, and it was really hard for me. I went through a depression. But then during this time, I found a test which had his information on it. And the lab result, it was actually lab results, and it showed his viral load in T cells, and it was dated before we met.
Oh my God. So this man knowingly gave you, this preacher, this minister, knowingly gave you the virus.
Yes.
Now, you also think that he might, on some level, be still sleeping with women and possibly men having unprotected sex.
Mm-hmm.
You went to the police.
I did. It took a lot of strength to get me to the police because initially finding out was devastating. Then the process just emotionally trying to recover from that. And then to recover from knowing that a guy intentionally did this to you that you believed to love you was also devastating. So after telling my parents, after years of living with HIV, they and my family, they encouraged me that I should really go to the police because he could still be doing the same thing, which he was always sleeping around during the time we were together. And everyone he slept with has been unprotected. So that was my concern and my reason for going.
The police did not embrace you. They did not say, we will look into this matter.
No. Actually, I was told never to come back by one of their sergeants.
Okay, help me understand this. You're slapped in the face once you find out that you're HIV positive by this man who allegedly knew that he was HIV positive. Then you go to the police. They slap you again and tell you, we're not going to deal with this. Do not come back around here. How did you deal with that?
Well, it was frustrating because when you think of the police, you want to think about protect and serve. And I didn't feel that way sitting there. I felt like I was the criminal, like I had done something wrong to someone, the way that they treated me by just telling me never to come back and asking me different questions as if just
and
making
you had done something
yes,
wrong.
exactly. And it was frustrating, and it really made me want to crawl back and not say anything again. But I kept on. I continued forward to pursue it with different people, but still the same answers. And what I've done since then is to work on changing laws, implementing laws to help combat this type of problem.
My question to you is, how can you not be bitter with what has happened to you? You had a promising life before this whole incident. How can you not be bitter?
Well, it took a lot not to be bitter. The only reason that now I can truly smile and just feel free with myself and who I am is God. And before I met this man, I met God, and I really started a relationship, but I wasn't fully dedicated to God. And just knowing, in Psalms it talks about God's unfailing love and how priceless that is. And it's just amazing the things that God can do in your life and how he can restore and help heal wounds.
I guess it's safe to say that God is now using you as a messenger. Tell me a little bit about the foundation that you have created.
Well, during the time after I felt like I felt stronger, I realized that the same thing that happened to me could be happening to other women. And so, yes, God gave me that the duty to go out and just educate people, but then also for prevention and also to help restore people that have gone through HIV, which that's the Love You Foundation. We're here to just provide emotional support for women and couples that may be living with HIV and AIDS. And we also strive to help our youth just to have make better decisions.
Now, let's say that someone wants to get in touch with the foundation. What do they do?
They can call us at 832-646-3516, or they can reach us online, which is www.loveyoufoundation.org. And either way, they will be able to reach us.
What is your message to young African American women who might be having sex?
My message is just to know how valuable you are, and to make your decisions based on, just make decisions based on who God is in their life. If they don't know God, make decisions that reflect their value. And I just pray that our young women begin to realize that the men that they're dating, it's not forever. And just to realize that their bodies are a temple of God. They should honor their body, honor God with their body in the way that they act.
So you would say abstinence first and foremost, which is key,
Definitely.
or safe sex.
Yes. The abstinence, I would say, is 100% effective. Safe sex, I don't think there should be any option in that.
You are a very attractive woman,
Thank you.
and I'm sure guys are always hitting on you. Do you tell them up front that you are HIV positive?
Yes, I do. I think there's a debate with that within people that are positive, because when you meet someone initially, I think that person should have an opportunity to choose if they want to get to know you further. And one major thing that's a part of my life is HIV. Although that doesn't define Crystal, HIV is a part of my life, and whoever will be a part of my life will also need to know that and make decisions accordingly.
Do you have difficulties going further with men or being with men?
No. I've met guys, I've gone out since. The only thing that I've been focused on, honestly, though, is myself and just bettering myself, so that when I do meet that special guy, that I'm whole.
What's your future? You have the foundation, but what about Crystal? Where do you see Crystal in 3-4 years? And today, the good news is that you're healthy.
I am, and I feel blessed that I'm able to live my life and be healthy, and I haven't had to start taking meds yet, which I feel is great. But I also know that they're available to me, and that's also great. I would have to say, in the years to come, what I imagine is just being happily married, having a family, and just living and serving God.
And you're probably convinced that this is what he wants you to do. He wants you to be out here and talk about this situation, because you could have easily said, I'm HIV positive, I'm not saying anything to anybody about it, period.
I did that for a long time, but like I said, I don't believe that would do anyone service, or it won't help other young women that may be positive, young women that may be having sex unprotected. Love U it's not just an organization focused on HIV and AIDS awareness, but it's also an organization focused on healthy living, making good decisions, and just knowing your value and worth.
Have you seen this person, this minister who allegedly gave you the virus? Have you seen him?
I have not, and I'm actually happy I haven't seen him, but if I had to see him, I would be okay.
But we still think that he is out there having unprotected sex with possibly women and men, knowing clearly that he is HIV positive.
My hopes is that he has at least learned from the situation and the pain that he's caused me. But if he has not, I'm sure eventually it'll come around to haunt him.
Can you imagine if this man is out there with a loaded gun, so to speak, that there could be other women and men who probably have contracted the virus from this man, a man of the cloth?
It's so very true, and I understand. When I met him, he was a minister, and I believe he still is ministering. But one thing I want people to realize is just that you cannot put your trust in the people that are in front of you. They're here to bring a message, yes. However, you have to put your trust in God and just have your trust in him. He's faithful. The fact that he's out there and possibly infecting other women, that really disturbs me, and that's why I went to the police. And they haven't done anything, but I hope that by me being proactive, going to follow up with the laws, I think that implementing those laws could really help a lot.
Well, we want to thank you for providing such a profound message for not only African American women, but for women in general. Thank you, and good luck with the foundation. We have been talking to Crystal John. She is HIV positive, and she has a real story to tell. We hope you have learned something from this discussion. We will see you next week with yet another exciting interview. Take care.
Straight Talk with award-winning journalist Lloyd Geit.